be seated. It was an ordinary day, just like any other. An ordinary day like today. Nothing really special about it other than it was just ordinary. And an ordinary group of people were standing on the ordinary corner of an ordinary street. And as they stood there, they were involved in some sort of ordinary conversation. We know it was ordinary because we don't know what it was. No one made it very specific. An ordinary group of people were standing there doing ordinary things, and an ordinary thing happened. A man walked by. All seemingly so ordinary. In his sermon for this text, Mike Renninger calls our attention to O. Henry's The Gift of the Magi. You remember the story? Well, I'm going to tell it anyway. It's about Jim and Della. Beautiful, beautiful story. Jim and Della really don't have much. And they actually have less than they had had until previous. Now they have very little. They scrape to get by. And it's coming time for Christmas. There are two prized possessions in their home. Jim has a pocket watch. A beautiful, beautiful pocket watch that he adores. It was his father's pocket watch. And before him, it was his grandfather's pocket watch. He has the watch, but he has no chain. Della has a prized possession too. It's her hair. It goes below her knees. She takes great care with it, and she and Jim are so proud of her hair, but she has no combs to put in it. She has admired some in the window down the street, but she knows that they need everything they have just to get by. Two ordinary people doing ordinary things. So as the time approaches for the exchange of their gifts, Jim goes out and sells his watch and buys the most beautiful set of tortoiseshell combs, the ones that Della has been admiring in the window. And he carefully wraps them up for her. And Della, wanting out of her love to do something wonderful for Jim, goes and has her hair cut off and sells it to a wig maker. She goes and buys a lovely chain for Jim's watch. The time comes for them to exchange gifts, and Jim walks into their home, and he looks, and there she has had her hair cut off. And she says, oh, Jim, do you like my hair? Is it okay? And he says, I love you. I love your hair. And he gave her her gift. She opens it. And she clutches these combs to her breast. And she says, they are so lovely. My hair will grow out. And she reaches and she hands her package to Jim. And he opens it and he says, Odella, I sold my watch to buy your combs. And they decide together to set aside these lovely gifts for the time when they could use them, but not a time when they would have any more meaning than they had at that time. They gave out of their love. Two ordinary people living ordinary lives, and something extraordinary happened. And it happened because of love. Those ordinary guys standing on that ordinary corner in that ordinary place on that ordinary day at that ordinary time of 4 o'clock. A man walked by, an ordinary thing happened, but something extraordinary came from it. For you see, even in our ordinary lives on ordinary days, when Jesus walks by, something extraordinary happens. Two of these guys that were John's followers just followed him. He wasn't walking on water. He wasn't doing miracles. He just came into their midst. An ordinary thing happened in Bethlehem, and it happened many, many, many times. Many babies were born in Bethlehem, but something extraordinary happened. Many people walked that walk to Golgotha and were buried in tombs, but something extraordinary happens. That's what happens when God is in our lives. It happens when God loves us so much He becomes us and teaches us what it means to love God, and that the core part of our loving God is our loving each other. So here we are. We are ordinary. We are ordinary. Thanks be to God. Because it is in the midst of our ordinariness that God's extraordinary love comes alive. And it makes us new. And it makes us give. So love and give and live out the extraordinary life that God has given us as we love each other and we love the world. Amen.